have also launched strikes on the Kurdish capital in northern Iraq. Let's go. Then we'll go to Tel Aviv in a minute. Yeah, and there's also the United States have now obviously released their video of themselves, the US military, doing the strikes on Islamic Republic's air defense systems, and they have now all fallen apart. That's the wrong footage. I don't know what's going on. Okay, there we go. We have the... So that...
Hol dir Resident Evil Requiem zu 20% günstiger. G2A.com. Best gate to play.
Verstehe mit Whoop deine Belastung.
We're happy about the Islamic Republic. And now let's quickly go to more celebrations. Actually, there is the United States, President Trump has now issued a global caution worldwide. So this is a worldwide alert to all American citizens around the world, because of course they are a target for the remaining members of the IRGC, and they have to be extremely cautious. Friedrich Merz of Deutschland has now released a statement saying the Iranian people have the right to determine their own future. Germany is cooperating closely with the United States, Israel, and partners in the region. We remain committed to peace and security in the region and to Israel's security. Okay, so the update from Tel Aviv, the videos are coming in now, but the update we have is that no injuries reported. So that is good news. Somewhere was hit, I'm going to show you the video in a second, but no injury. So that no casualties for now, which is good news. Let's quickly go to the Iranians, the diaspora abroad in the Netherlands, who are happy, celebrating, of course, they have tears of joy as they celebrate. Right. Extremely emotional moments for these guys. Qatar is getting attacked again by the IRGC terrorists. But I'm going to go to Israel first. Actually, Kuwait, more direct hits. The infrastructure is being hit in Kuwait by the IRGC. Now, to quickly double check the situation with Tel Aviv, actually Doha as well. Go to Doha for a second while I prepare the latest videos getting from Israel. We have a couple of reactions here. Gila says, yes, brother, thanks so much for everything. God bless you and all the viewers. You have earned our trust time and time again. I'm Israel Chai, Javid Shah. Absolutely, thank you. God bless America. By the way, just a quick heads up. We are working, our team are working on our website. There was a bit of a situation earlier. We had high traffic and also we had some people attacking the website, trying to hack it. And so we had to increase security. So our team are kind of working on sorting that out. So if you can't access the website for now, just wait until later on and it will be okay. Libel says, whatever they do, do not let them take his body to Israel under any circumstances. You don't want him to get back up after 3 days. Oh, God. Well, to be fair, if he had been killed on Friday, maybe. What's going on? Okay. Let's... Superman says, God bless Donald Trump, Javid Shah. Absolutely. Okay, let's quickly go. I'm going to show you the situation with the missiles hitting, as we speak, Tel Aviv. Disgusting behavior by the IRGC. This is actually footage from NBC. We're going to have to see that one. Stay with us. Expecting the Islamic Republic to get desperate and a little bit insane towards the end of its life. And the IRGC themselves are claiming that they are targeting Israel's military infrastructure, but obviously that is there's nothing military about what you just saw and that footage. It's not really a surprise the way these guys pretend in Iran. And yeah, let's go to the next video. Yeah. This that we just received is from Qatar. Doha has been attacked, and of course, both the Qataris and the Americans are working hard to intercept the missiles and the drones. Central Israel has been hit by ballistic missiles. Hang on. There's currently fire in Tel Aviv. Fortunately, apparently everybody here obviously was hit in Tel Aviv by the Islamic Republic was already in shelters, so that helped. Otherwise, obviously, a number of casualties would have been insane. But let's have a look at this. Tel Aviv. Everybody's fine. These are the last desperate attempt by the IRGC to cause harm before they bow out. None of this is a surprise, obviously. We were expecting the Islamic Republic to get insane at this stage. President Trump, we have a video from Mar-a-Lago where President Trump is dancing to God Bless the USA. Let's go and see that footage from earlier.
Put your hands down. I'm gonna push you. You're gonna push through.
Of course, the celebrations across Iran also continue. I gotta go to work.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
God bless the president. Let's go to more celebrations in Iran. Happy. Despite getting hit earlier, they knew the cost. They knew the sacrifice. Now, there's a woman in Iran in this reaction. She says they have taken out Khamenei. Congratulations, everybody.
خامنه‌ایو میگن زدن خامنه‌ایو زدن وای وای بچه‌ها مبارکه مبارکه
More footage of celebrations.
ایوان!
Bahrain is getting hit as well again. We're going to go to that in a second. But let's go back to Israel. Israeli students happy and celebrating near the IDF headquarters. Brilliant. Now, fireworks apparently in Iran. We just got this footage. Let's go and see. It's a very short video, I think. Yeah. Okay. Now, while we check the latest, there's a couple of reactions coming up now. We're going to go back to our live feed in Tel Aviv. Oh, that's gone. Okay, we've lost Tel Aviv. But we're going to... Well, we haven't lost Tel Aviv, but Doha, I think we still have Doha. Yes, we do. Okay, let's go back to Doha in Qatar. Right, couple of things to mention. The Dubai International Airport has been hit by the IRGC. This is the image that we now have from inside the airport in Dubai. And I think we're expecting a video coming in. So over 40 leaders of the IRGC and the security have been eliminated in Iran in the first round of attacks. And I think there is a fresh video from Israel coming in. Yeah, we got this image of the aftermath of what happened earlier. The missile that directly hit Tel Aviv, which, as I said, luckily, no casualties reported. Everybody happened to be, fortunately, in a bunker. There we go. That is the image in the middle. And yeah, let's go to Qatar because there's an ongoing battle right now. The defense system is trying to intercept a number of drones and missiles that have been launched by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Let's see. They're intercepting them. Good work by both Qataris and the Americans, by the way. Huge celebrations in London again. Hang on. That's still going. Let's go to the streets of London and see what's going on tonight. This is in Finchley Central, North London. We are getting an update on casualties in Tel Aviv as well. I think a couple of other places might have had some issues. We'll get to that shortly. Quickly going back to you guys. Wow, Regina says, today's my birthday. I'm celebrating life with family. Well, happy birthday. And also happy birthday to the Iranian nation. I've been watching your channel for at least 3 years of you opposing the IRGC. I'm so glad for you. Maybe you can start returning. Yeah, we will have a live coverage on 2CTV from Tehran soon. Do you think the reports about the missile attack on a school with numerous casualties is propaganda news? We already reported that earlier today on this channel. That was the IRGC missile hitting a school in Iran. And obviously then they played the victim card.
Kennst du das? Du hast auf Arbeit 100 Sachen gleich.
6 people are mildly injured in Tel Aviv. So, again, that's good news. Could have been much worse. But thank God for the Israeli government, obviously having multiple shelters and defense system to protect their citizens. Please make a movie. Like this message if you want a movie or a TV series. Stunning stuff. When we can go back to Iran, we're going to do a whole documentary, the return to Iran on 2CTV, which we can watch on 2CTV Plus at some point. And yes, Blackfish Blue says, today the world changes forever. Absolutely. Just like how we've had 3 events that changed the whole world. The French Revolution, technically the first one. The Russian Revolution and the 1979 Islamic takeover of Iran. This is the 4th one that will change the world forever. And someone says, I wonder if Putin is taking notes. Yeah, this is how you do a special military operation, by the way, if you are watching from the Kremlin. And, right. There's a lot of reactions in the super chats as well. Someone says, who's actually in charge of Iran now? The president? No, I think we think the president is dead. We haven't seen or heard from him. I can't confirm that, obviously. But I believe that Ali Larijani is now in charge for now. That is Ali Khamenei's best friend. Well, one of the best friends. And right-hand man politically. So these are the names that have been taken out below Khamenei. The head of the IRGC's ground forces, Mohammed Pakpour, senior security advisor to the Supreme Leader, Ali Shamkhani, who was hit a couple of times before, even during the 12-day war. He keeps surviving. This time he's dead. Mohammad Shirazi, the chief of the Supreme Leader's military office. Aziz Nasirzadeh, the defense minister. Saleh Esadi, intelligence chief. At their headquarters, Reza Mozaffariniya, a former deputy defense minister and the head of the SPND, and Hussein Jabal Ameli, the current deputy defense minister. They have also been taken out. People are now out on the streets in Tehran. They are out already. So we've had until now videos of celebrations mostly from people's inside houses, because obviously the Crown Prince, Reza Pahlavi, told everybody to stay at home. Stay at home, don't come out yet. But it seems like a lot of people are already excited, so they've decided to not obey and already come out on the streets. Let's go and see what we are dealing with on the streets of Tehran. No? What is happening? Hang on. Stay with us. Again, gotta get used to it. You're not gonna get this level of content on CNN, right? You're gonna get more nonsense. But we're trying our best to get this to you guys as soon as possible. It's been 84 years since I've been trying to show you this clip. There we go, it's coming up, all right. All right, let's go to the streets of Tehran, where celebrations are happening now on outside. Let's go. Wow. Wait. Hang on. So there is a. It's interesting because this also means if this obviously this is the capital in Tehran, the checkpoints, the military checkpoints are nowhere to be seen. The IRGC military are nowhere to be seen. The army nowhere to be seen. The police nowhere to be seen. What is happening? The Basij units nowhere to be seen, and people have been able to already come out. Very impressive stuff happening on the streets of the capital. All right. Just waiting for a couple of things here. Yeah. Promises made, promises kept. Excited in South Carolina. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you for watching as well. Now. Washington Times article states MEK announces formation of transitional government in Iran. What with their 12 members? And no, they have lobby money, so they just pay newspapers to write fake news. Why are people paying attention to the mainstream press and mainstream media? It is interesting, isn't it? It's just some sort of like masochism, self-harm, like putting yourself through that chaos. All right. Now, well, things are relatively stable in the center of Doha, so that's good news for the Qataris, I guess. But we can't say the same about Tel Aviv right now. I think we're getting back our live camera. The live, it's not back yet, is it? Yeah, it's broken. The live feed in Tel Aviv is broken for some reason. Okay. But what we're going to do, we're going to go to Jerusalem. There were a couple of things that also were they launched towards Jerusalem, but they were intercepted near Jordan. So that was good news, I guess. Imagine hitting Jerusalem and claiming to be in favor of Jerusalem because of the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Crazy terrorists. All right. More footage coming in. There's a situation in the Persian Gulf, by the way. We can't confirm exactly what is going on, but a ship has been hit. We don't know if it's the Islamic Republic Navy or somebody else, but this is what we've just received. We'll get that confirmed, but something is on fire. Don't know if it's a tanker or a Navy. I think we have also a quick footage from the Dubai International Airport. That was hit a few minutes ago by the Islamic Republic, by the drones of the Islamic Republic, suicide drones. Let's quickly go and see the absolute mess in Dubai. Wow. Wow. Right. I think we've lost Jerusalem as well. What is happening with the live feed? Left, right, and center. Let's go back to Doha. This is the only stable feed we have left. Okay, I'll get our CCTV team to double check the live cameras, see what's going on with that. I think they'll come back in a second. I'm still trying to, by the way, get used to what's just happened. Yeah, literally, I'm trying my best to like, wait, is this actually happening? Have they actually defeated, or let's just say defeating the Islamic Republic? Also, as I said, this was a very swift and decisive military action. And I think it only worked well because both the Americans and the Israelis worked together. As expected, of course, but it did definitely help The Israelis obviously targeted the leadership, and the Americans went for everything else. I think we have another footage from Iran, from the capital, Tehran, as celebrations continue. Let's go to Tehran. Very, very happy people right now. Okay. It's going to get some more reaction from you guys. Where what we are waiting for is anything from the so-called president, Pezeshkian, or Ali Larijani. There is no official statement coming from Iran anymore, and all we are seeing is basically just rogue attacks on almost every country in the region apart from Turkey. So we have attacks on Israel, as expected, the UAE, Bahrain, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and there was a couple on Jordan. So we have this footage again from when the missile hit Tel Aviv a few minutes ago. Oh, the Qataris are not happy. Well, oh, I wonder why. This is Tel Aviv. Okay, the Kingdom of Qatar have now summoned the ambassador of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Oh no, he's in trouble. He's gonna get told off. Right, not really sure that's gonna do anything. You can't really punish them diplomatically. You're just gonna have to drop some stuff on them. That's the only thing. They're literally drowning, and you're summoning their ambassador? Oh, amateurs, absolute amateurs. Now, there's a video from Dubai. Obviously, the situation in Dubai is also extremely tense, just like in Tel Aviv. Right now, it's mostly Dubai and Tel Aviv that are getting massively hit, continue to get hit. But obviously, as I said, the Israeli defense is actually working really well. Let's quickly go and see the situation in Dubai and then come back. It's getting intercepted. Yeah, it's been hit. That was hit. So that was like.
You have it listen, you type it in, and then you go digging.
So just give me a moment here, again, getting everything organized here. You're looking at Tel Aviv after maybe some sort of impact. I see some damage there after the latest missiles were fired at Israel. Give me one moment here. I just have to get everything ready here. So we're going to keep an eye on more missile alerts expected shortly in Israel. And I'll have to try to get some details on what we're looking at here in Tel Aviv.
You are news? Which? Okay, where all the filmers, all the כתבים? All the interview. Yes, where all the power from?
There's a report of some possible damage at Dubai International Airport as well. Okay, this is going on in Tel Aviv right now. Look at this. This is Tel Aviv. They're bringing out maybe somebody for medical assistance. Hold on a second. I want to make sure I'm not showing. All right, hold on. They were bringing somebody out from that building on a stretcher. Look at, oh, there's the damage right here. This is Tel Aviv, Israel, after the latest, it looks like damage in Tel Aviv from some sort of, maybe that's a direct hit, maybe it's a missile that was intercepted in debris, I don't know. But that is in Tel Aviv, Israel. You're looking at damage right now from Tel Aviv, Israel. They have stretchers there to bring people out. I don't know, but Tel Aviv, Israel. Okay, we have alerts going on in Tel Aviv. Hold on a moment. Give me a moment. We have alerts in Tel Aviv right now. They have stretchers. Hold on. I gotta get the Tel Aviv on the screen. The other shot of Tel Aviv. Hang on a moment. There's Tel Aviv right there. You'll see it coming up right now. That is Tel Aviv, Israel, right there. Sirens going off in Tel Aviv right now. Up there's hold on. Here's a light. I don't know if that's an interceptor or a missile or what. Is that a missile or an interceptor? Keep an eye on that. That's the skies above Tel Aviv. Looks like maybe, I don't know if we just saw an interception. I don't know. Looks like maybe we saw an interception right there. Will we hear a boom after? We might have just seen an interception. That's what it looked like to me. And then we're seeing another light up there. I don't know what that is. Another light on below. This is Tel Aviv, Israel. Live. Up, I think, hold on, watch this. We might have just seen another interception right there. Bunch of alerts in the area around Tel Aviv right now. Oh, we see an interceptor going up on the bottom right there. Interceptor going up into the sky. That's live shot of an interceptor. It looks like an interceptor going up into the sky right there. And maybe another interception right there. And more interceptors going up right now. You can see, it looks like those interceptors at the bottom there going up. Looking at one at the bottom of the screen, in the distance there. No sirens at the moment in this area, although maybe the sirens are in the distance. According to the SOFAR map, The current alerts are to the east of Tel Aviv. So, all right, so now we just saw, hold on, watch this on the lower left, boom. We might have just seen an interception right there on the lower left, boom. I don't know if that's an impact or, we saw two flashes, maybe an interception there. Look, you can see the smoke. See the smoke there? So that may have been another interception right there. Again, that's probably looking to the east. I don't know for sure, but on the so far red alert map, there were a bunch of alerts to the east of Tel Aviv. And there's been, there's another, we have a live shot from Tel Aviv of a site that's been damaged, which we're going to send you back to in a second. But I want to stay on this for a second. But in a second, we're going to go back to the scene of damage in Tel Aviv after another recent barrage of missiles. All right, what I'm going to do, I am going to leave this camera on, but what I want to do is take you back to the other camera in Tel Aviv. So if you give me a moment, let me just do it this way here, where I got to do that here. So you're looking at the bottom there. That is, are those drones flying around on this camera? I think we're seeing some drones. This is Tel Aviv, Israel, at the bottom, after a recent hit, it looks like. A recent damage from some sort of missile or missile debris or something. There's a post from the Supreme Leader account on X. From the Supreme Leader's account. Hold on. Again, many news agencies are reporting that Supreme Leader is dead. Let me turn the volume down. I can't talk over this. So there was a post from a short post from the Supreme Leader account 7 minutes ago. But I don't know. Again, Fox News, CNN, AP, Reuters have all been
Senator, if you could stand by with us, we want to bring in our Chief National Security Correspondent, Jennifer Griffin. She's got some breaking news to add to what we are learning right now about this operation. Jennifer.
Sandra, I just spoke with a senior U.S. official that confirmed to Fox that the U.S. does believe that Ali Khamenei, the Ayatollah, was killed along with 5 to 10 top Iranian leaders in that initial Israeli strike on his compound earlier today that launched this day of strikes, the last 12 hours. They agree with Israel's intelligence assessment. But what is most interesting to me is that the multiple sources have told me that the strike had to be moved up based on intelligence and this so-called target of opportunity. There was a deliberate decision to accelerate the timeline and to strike during the daytime, which is extremely unusual. Usually the U.S. would not strike during the daytime, but they wanted to catch the senior leadership off guard. It was a Saturday morning during Ramadan, and it was also Shabbat during the day. And that's when Israel took the opportunity and dropped those 30 bombs on the compound, and the U.S. simultaneously launched strikes against all of the military targets that then we've seen the results of today. I've also learned that the U.S. alone, the U.S. military alone, has carried out nearly 900 strikes in the last airstrikes in the last 12 hours. That is an incredibly high number of strikes in the first 12 hours of this operation, Sandra.
Hey, Jen, it's John here. So the one thing that we sometimes neglect to mention is that one of the big reasons why Midnight Hammer and the 12-Day War were so successful was because Israel had Mossad agents on the ground who were directing activities for the aircraft that were overhead. Do we have any idea? And one of the other things about the 12-Day War that was so brilliant on the part of the Israelis is they managed to attract and to bring together top members of the IRGC leadership, and then they eliminated them. Do we know what the Mossad's potential role was here in making sure that they had everybody in the right place at the right time to launch this strike?
I think it's safe to assume, John, that this was an intelligence-driven operation, and the people who have the best intelligence in that region tend to be Mossad. If you look at what happened last summer in terms of Lebanon and the drawing together of those leaders as well, taking out and decapitating Hezbollah, this is a style of attack and strike and intelligence that really only the Israelis are capable of. And so I think it makes sense that it was their warplanes that struck the compound. But I found it very interesting that the U.S. had to agree to move up the timeline based on this target of opportunity, and that senior officials both in Israel as well as in the United States believe that 5 to 10 top Iranian leaders were killed in that strike, including the IRGC commander killed alongside Ali Khamenei.
Jen, if you could you also give us any further details that we have learned about attacks on U.S. military bases in the Middle East? What do we know at this point?
Well, we know that there have been at least 300 missiles fired by Iran today. Some of them have been missiles, some drones targeting various U.S. military bases. A lot of people may not realize that the U.S. has bases in almost every Gulf country. So from Oman to Kuwait to UAE to Qatar, as well as in Saudi Arabia. In fact, I've just received word from a very senior military source that the U.S. base, the Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia, is currently under attack by Iranian ballistic missiles, and that the Saudis are currently shooting down those missiles. But this is a big escalation, and we reported earlier today how significant it was that the Saudis had decided to get off the sidelines and decide to say that they were joining in this operation against Iran once Iran fired missiles into Iranian territory, because they're also firing into some of the areas where oil production is in Saudi Arabia. So the countries like Oman, UAE, and Oman has come off the sidelines as well and is criticizing Iran for the strikes against UAE, Qatar, Jordan, and Saudi Arabia.
Right. I mean, the fact that Iran is throwing all these ballistic missiles at countries in the region, I mean, could be read as the death knell of a regime that is on its last legs. Because
it's certainly a sign of desperation, John. I think that is absolutely correct. And I just meant to mention to Sandra, you asked about the strikes on the U.S. bases. There have been no casualties. So while there has been some incoming, there have been no casualties and no real damage that has interfered with operations.
So if this is indeed Iran just kind of firing everything that it's got at everybody in the region as it crumbles, the question is, how many ballistic missiles does it have? And I'm sure that our ability to defend against them is finite. I mean, how much do we have left in terms of missile defense?
Well, I think we have plenty of missile defense right now. I mean, it's not infinite, but what I have learned is that Iran has fired about 300 missiles today. They have about 2,000 long-range missiles and 2,000 shorter-range missiles. That is really significant because they were building up. Remember, a lot of those missile supplies were attrited last summer during Operation Midnight Hammer, but it seems, and sources have told me, that one of the reasons it was so urgent and needed that Israel and the United States felt that they needed to act is that if Iran had had another year, they would have had 1,000 more ballistic missiles. They were building them at such a pace and resupplying despite having lost so many last year.
Jen, before you go, we have a live look at the White House. I'm being told right now, we have not heard directly from the U.S. or Iran, for that matter, following the confirmation of the Supreme Leader's death, correct?
We have not heard an official comment on the record statement. I imagine that they would let that be announced by the president.
Got it. And I'm told the pictures that we have right now are new from the Situation Room, guys. I think we're getting our first pictures from inside the Situation Room. Okay. This is from, obviously, Mar-a-Lago, as the president traveled there yesterday after he left Texas from Mar-a-Lago as this decision was being made. Okay. Jen Griffin joining us by phone on the breaking news. Thank you so much.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page.
Yes, Sandra, we just got this in literally 2 minutes ago, but Fox News can confirm that Iran's supreme leader, the Ayatollah Khamenei, is dead following Israeli strikes against his compound and location earlier today. A senior Israeli official confirming this news. Earlier tonight, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu describing the strikes not only against the supreme leader, but against much of the Iranian leadership. We know the breakdown in strikes focused on leadership for the Israelis and military targets initially for the Americans, and has since expanded as this campaign is expected to continue in the days and possibly even weeks ahead. As we're looking at the current situation across the region, we're also gathering new information on what the Israelis have been doing against Iran. We are told from a military official that the largest Israeli Air Force sortie against any country in the world was conducted this morning with 200 Israeli fighter jets targeting 500 different locations, dropping hundreds of munitions on a variety of different targets inside of Iran. The Israelis, while they were going after leadership, were also looking to neutralize the incoming ballistic missile fire that has targeted their country throughout the day. Sirens sounded across Israel throughout the afternoon, sending millions of people into bomb shelters. But again, the takeaway here, the Israelis have killed Iran's supreme leader. That is being confirmed to Fox News by a senior Israeli official. John, Sandra?
Okay, so Trey, you're obviously breaking that news for us just now. We'll be looking for reaction, obviously, on the ground in Iran and all over the Middle East region.
Absolutely. This is a major blow to the Iranian regime. Iran's supreme leader, the Ayatollah Khamenei, was not a figurehead. He was the man in charge of decisions as it relates to Iran's nuclear program, their expanding ballistic missile program, the hardline positions that made it impossible for the Americans to reach a diplomatic solution with the Iranians. And that led to a variety of conversations behind the scenes. And I can also report, having just gotten off of a background call with a U.S. official, that there were attempts made by the Trump administration really olive branches given to the Iranians at the negotiating table, asking them to find a solution on the nuclear issue. These other issues, their ballistic missile program, their support of regional proxies, and even the crackdown on protesters, the Trump administration initially was willing to ignore those issues in order to get an agreement together on the nuclear program. And they simply were not willing to come to the table with reasonable demands. And despite the efforts by top negotiators that were sent to Oman and to Switzerland, whether it be Special Envoy Steve Witkoff or President Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner, who we know have been working across the region around the clock over the past year, not just on this issue, but also to get a ceasefire in Gaza and implement the new Board of Peace to create stability in the region. The understanding was that the Iranian regime and the Supreme Leader himself, these were the last hurdles for the region between stability and instability. And this decision was made overnight by President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to launch these extensive strikes across Iran in order to neutralize that threat. President Trump overnight, when he made those remarks, said there could be American casualties. This is going to be a difficult fight because no war is easy, despite the fact that by tomorrow the Israelis believe they will have air superiority over the skies of Iran. But we have seen the Iranian response today, not just here in Israel, with the ballistic missile fire targeting major population centers, including Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, and Haifa, but also Gulf countries, Bahrain, the UAE, and Qatar. A regional diplomat telling Fox News this evening that 8 people were injured in Qatar during one of the attacks. One of them is in critical condition. And so there are serious consequences to this counterattack by Iran. But again, tonight, the news that is breaking across the region, Iran's supreme leader, the Ayatollah Khamenei, according to a senior Israeli official, has been killed.
So, Trey, if that report from the senior Israeli official is correct, the big question is what comes next. The Ayatollah was 86 years old. I imagine that in the theocracy of Iran, they have got clerics lined up to take that position in the same way that they have planes lined up over Ben Gurion on the landing approach. So what does that mean for the future there in terms of the theocracy if that were to continue?
Israel is looking east right now to the threat from Iran, but they're also looking north and south. Iran's largest proxies are Hezbollah, the Lebanese militant group in southern Lebanon, and the Houthis in Yemen. Hezbollah, according to an intelligence official I spoke to recently, still has thousands of rockets and missiles, and around half of them are within range of Israeli cities. And this is a serious threat still posed to Israel, despite the fact that the Israelis have degraded and destroyed much of the Hezbollah arsenal. It still poses a threat to Israel. You might remember, as we reported throughout the past 2.5 years, the Israelis decapitated the head of Hezbollah, Hassan Nasrallah, with a strike in the Dakhya neighborhood of southern Beirut. They went after the missile launching positions we saw on the ground there in southern Lebanon as the Israelis meticulously moved field by field and cave by cave to go after these positions that had been dug into the sides of mountains. But despite those efforts, this is an organization that had decades of support from the Iranian regime, and they were able to smuggle in missiles and rocket components that now make up what is left of that arsenal. And while it is a smaller arsenal than before, it is a threat. And Hezbollah in the past, just the past several days, has said that if Iran's supreme leader was targeted, they would get directly involved in this war. And so that is where Israel is focused right now. As it relates to the situation on the ground in Iran, we do have to step back amid all of this military action and these serious decisions that were made by President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. There is still an understanding about how the structure of the Iranian regime operates. Iran's supreme leader reportedly had already prepared successors. Iran's IRGC had already prepared successors for the top commanders of their military, understanding that if a war erupted, these would be the individuals targeted in such a conflict. And so this isn't over. This is actually just beginning. But it does raise questions about the future of the region and where things are headed once this does conclude.
Also crossing right now, a source familiar to Fox News is saying some Gulf partners are responding to Iran defensively and offensively. Trey, since the last time you joined us, top of the last hour, we got word that President Trump had sat down for this several-minute interview with Axios, in which he said he believes he has several off-ramps from Operation Epic Fury, talking about how long this could take. It could end in 2 or 3 days, said the president. He could tell the Iranians, see you again in a few years if you start rebuilding your nuclear and missile programs. This was about a 5-minute interview that the president conducted, but suggesting there could still be a diplomatic solution or opportunity, Trey.
Absolutely. This is the Peace Through Strength initiative that the president ran on when he was running for his second term. And when you look at the region, there are players in the region, including the Iranians, that often only understand strength. And that is a fact in the Middle East. And it's the reason that the Israelis have approached the conflicts that they are involved in the way that they have. As it relates to Iran and the...
Erstelle deine Traum-Website mit Wix. Wo Worte
کمک کنید و در ساختن آن آینده سهیم باشید. مرگ خامنه‌ای جنایتکار اگرچه داد خونهای ریخته شده را باز نمیگرداند، اما میتواند مرهمی باشد بر دلهای سوخته خانواده‌های داغدار، پدران و مادران، همسران و فرزندان داغدار و ملت شریف و خانواده‌های جانفدایان انقلاب ملی شیر و خورشید ایران. شاهزاده رضا پهلوی اضافه کرده ملت شریف و شجاع ایرانی، این اگرچه آغاز جشن بزرگ ملی ماست، اما پایان راه نیست. هوشیار و آماده باشید، زمان حضور گسترده و تعیین کننده در خیابان‌ها بسیار نزدیک است. ما با هم متحد و استوار پیروزی نهایی را رقم خواهیم زد و آزادی ایران را در سراسر میهن اهورایی‌مان جشن خواهیم گرفت. این پیامی بود که شاهزاده رضا پهلوی پس از کشته شدن علی خامنه‌ای منتشر کرده و من برای شما مرور کردم. اجازه بدید که با میهمان بعدی برنامه مولود حاجی‌زاده، روزنامه‌نگار اقتصادی از لارویک نروژ همراه بشیم. سالهاست خانم حاجی‌زاده، هر بار که ما از مشکلات اقتصادی مردم و مشکلات معیشتیشون صحبت می‌کنیم، نام علی خامنه‌ای در واقع گره اصلی تمام مشکلات مردم بوده. انزوای بین‌المللی، تحریم‌هایی که اتفاق افتاد و هر بلایی که سر مردم ایران افتاد. این خبر چه معنایی داره الان در حال حاضر برای مردم ایران؟
درود بر شما. ابتدا اجازه بدید تبریک بگم به تمام ملت شریف ایران کشته شدن بزرگترین جنایتکار تاریخ معاصر ایران رو. همونطور که اشاره کردی دقیقاً هر بار که حالا به هر شکل از زوایای مختلف این فقر تحمیلی، وضعیت رفاه، همه مؤلفه‌های اقتصادی که صحبتش به میون می اومد نام علی خامنه‌ای بود، به این جهت که اساساً ساختار جمهوری اسلامی مبتنی بر یک ساختار تک نفره بنا شده بود. شخص علی خامنه‌ای تصمیم می‌گرفت در مورد اینکه اساساً مثلا یک ارگان و یک نهادی مثل مجلس چطور در مورد مؤلفه‌ها و اون مصوبات تصمیم بگیره، در مورد در واقع اون ساختارها و تصمیمات کلان که حالا مشخصاً برمیگشت به حوزه دیپلماسی که تأثیر مستقیم داشت در حوزه تحریم‌ها و اثرات اقتصادی بر کشور و بر مردم، مستقیما همونطور که میدونیم از در واقع اون چارچوب فکری و چارچوب نظری شخص علی خامنه‌ای میگذشت. بنابراین خب اون تمام این چیزهایی که ما در تمام سالهای گذشته گذروندیم و مردم ایران باهاش مواجه شدن، چه در حوزه اقتصاد کلان و چه خرد، مشخصاً تحت تأثیر اون به نوعی ایدئولوژی کلان و اون دخالت‌های جسته و گریخته ممتد این فرد در حوزه‌های اقتصادی بود. حتی اگر خاطرمون باشه ما چند سال قبل بود که این فرد حتی در مورد واردات و صادرات لوازم خانگی میومد مشخصاً دخالت میکرد، نظر میداد و خب همه اینها چرخه ایجاد کرده بود که هر تصمیمی، هر رخدادی و هر در واقع نظریه ها، در واقع اون چارچوب های نظریه کلان و مباحث خرد معیشتی مردم شخصا و مستقیما از نظر و از دیدگاه این فرد عبور میکرد. بنابراین خب حالا که این اتفاق افتاده، در واقع حذف این فرد، اگر فکر کنیم که حتی در این چارچوبی که حالا ما هنوز نمیدونیم این فضات ها چه مقدار قراره چه اتفاقاتی در آینده بیفته، اما میتونیم بگیم اون ساختار تک نفره‌ای که مشخصاً معیشت مردم، رفاه مردم و اساساً مفهوم به اسم زندگی مردم رو به نقطه زیر صفر کشون به طور کامل حذف شده و ما با یک چارچوبی مواجه هستیم که اساساً من نمیدونم در واقع با توجه به این ساختاری که سالهای سال دهه‌ها به همین شکل ادامه پیدا کرده، من نمیدونم آیا این ساختار حتی توان این رو داره در مورد مسائل کوچیک بدون اینکه فردی باشه که از اون کسب اجازه بکنه میخواد تصمیم بگیره. من میگم که امروز مردم ایران میدونن که این مؤلفه حذف شده و این چارچوب میتونه قطعاً
خیلی ممنونم خانم حاجی‌زاده. مولود حاجی‌زاده، روزنامه‌نگار اقتصادی از لاربیک نورش، خیلی متشکرم از شما. اجازه بدید که مستقیم بریم تصاویر زنده ببینیم از شورای امنیت سازمان ملل و این جلسه که برگزار شده. نماینده آمریکا در حال صحبت درباره ایران.
ایالات متحده شفافیت اخلاقی داره و میدونیم که حملات بدون تمایز و بدون دلیل ایران علیه شرکای منطقه ما، قطر، بحرین، کویت، اردن، امارات و دیگران دقیقاً نشون میده که چرا این اقدامات ما علیه ایران ضروری بوده. رژیم ایران نه فقط دارایی‌های نظامی رو زده، بلکه زیرساخت‌های غیر نظامی رو هم زده. اونهایی که در کنار ما ایستادن باید بدونن که امنیت اونها قابل مذاکره نیست. امنیت متحدان ما مشروط به چیزی نیست، تضمین شده است. اصل قضیه جان کلام اینه همکاران عزیز، متحدان ما، شرکای ما میتونن روی آمریکا حساب کنن و میتونن روی پرزیدنت ترامپ حساب کنن. همکاران، صلح از طریق مماشات کردن با کسانی که تهدیدش میکنن به دست نمیاد. صلح از طریق قدرت حاصل میشه در برابر تروریسم. تاریخ به ما آموخته که هزینه اقدام نکردن و تعلل به مراتب بیشتر از اقدام قاطعانه است و رئیس جمهور ما پرزیدنت ترامپ این اقدام قاطعانه رو امروز انجام داده. سپاسگزارم. سپاسگزارم از نماینده ایالات متحده و حالا میکروفون رو میدیم به نماینده دانمارک. متشکرم آقای رئیس و سپاسگزاریم از ریاست بریتانیا و شورای امنیت برای تشکیل دادن این جلسه.
تصاویر زنده‌ای با هم می‌دیدیم از شورای امنیت سازمان ملل و جلسه‌ای که در رابطه با حملات انجام شده اسرائیل و ایالات متحده به جمهوری اسلامی از ساعتی پیش در واقع آغاز شده در مقر این سازمان در نیویورک. ما پیشتر داشتیم صحبت می‌کردیم با هم، بهتون گفتم که شاهزاده رضا پهلوی هم پیامی فرستاده در رابطه با کشته شدن علی خامنه‌ای و در این پیام از مردم ایران خواسته که منتظر لحظه موعود بمانند. ایران اینترنشنال ساعتی پیش تایید کرد علی خامنه‌ای دیکتاتور ایران در حملات اسرائیل و ایالات متحده صبح شنبه 9 اسفند ماه کشته شده. این خبری که دونالد ترامپ هم رئیس جمهور ایالات متحده در صفحه اجتماعی خودش در تروث سوشیال به اون اشاره کرده و اون رو تایید کرده. بعد از شنیدن این خبر مردم در ایران شادی خودشون رو در تصاویری که به ایران اینترنشنال رسیده نشون دادند، در خیابان‌ها، در پشت بام‌ها و از پشت پنجره‌ها شعار دادند و به مرگ علی خامنه‌ای واکنششون دادند و در حمایت از شاهزاده رضا پهلوی فریاد زدند. اجازه بدید قبل از اینکه بخوام با همکارم مراد ویسی که یک بار دیگه از همینجا در واشنگتن دی سی با ما همراه میشه تا به هر آنچه که تا این لحظه اتفاق افتاده بپردازیم، من یک خبر فوری رو برای شما مرور بکنم. ارتش اسرائیل فهرستی رو منتشر کرده از مقامات ایرانی که به همراه خامنه‌ای کشته شدن. در این لیست من الان دارم میبینم محمد پاکپور هست، فرمانده نیروی زمینی سپاه پاسداران، علی شمخانی مشاور ارشد امنیتی رهبر جمهوری اسلامی، رهبر پیشین جمهوری اسلامی البته الان باید گفت، محمد شیرازی رئیس دفتر نظامی علی خامنه‌ای، عزیز نصیرزاده وزیر دفاع، صلاح اسدی رئیس اطلاعات قرارگاه خاتم الانبیا، رضا مظفری نیا معاون سابق وزیر دفاع و حسین جبل عاملیان معاون فعلی وزیر دفاع. این لیستی هستش که در کنار نام علی خامنه‌ای دیکتاتور ایران که امروز کشته شده، در واقع روز شنبه کشته شده، اسرائیل منتشر کرده. خب با همکارم مراد ویسی همراه بشیم که بیشتر صحبت بکنیم. چقدر کشته شدن علی خامنه‌ای آقای ویسی عاملیت مردم ایران و انگیزه مخالفان رو تشدید میکنه برای سرنگونی جمهوری اسلامی؟
به نظرم نتیجه عملیات مردم ایرانه. یعنی این مسیری که الان ما توش هستیم و خامنه‌ای کشته شده با خیزش میلیونی مردم ایران بعد از فراخوان شاهزاده رضا پهلوی شروع شد، بعد منجر به اون کشتار شد و بعد این جنگی که آمریکا و اسرائیل علیه جمهوری اسلامی به راه انداختن. من فکر میکنم الان عملیات اصلی هم با مردم ایرانه و حکومت داره از این میترسه. یعنی ابتکار عمل الان در دست آمریکا، اسرائیل، مردم ایران و شاهزاده رضا پهلویه و حکومت به شدت ترسیده که هر لحظه ممکنه با قیام مجدد مردم سرنگون بشه و به نظرم حکومت بسیار بسیار در موقعیت شکننده‌ایه. اگر بخوایم یک صفت رو به کار ببریم، شکننده بودن نظام الان بسیار بسیار ویژگی برجسته نظام هست و هر نسیم دیگه ای میتونه، هر ضربه دیگه ای میتونه شکنندگی نظام رو تبدیل به سرنگونیش بکنه. اونا دارن تلاش میکنن که یک کسی رو به جای خامنه‌ای بیارن، ولی به نظرم با توجه به برتری اطلاعاتی، عملیاتی و تکنولوژیک اسرائیل و آمریکا که ترامپ گفت ما ردیابیامون ثابت شد که چقدر برتره، حتی اگر یک کس دیگه ای رو بخوان انتخاب بکنن به جای خامنه‌ای، به احتمال زیاد نماینده موساد در جلسه یا در اطراف جلسه بلافاصله اسم و محل اقامت رهبر جدید رو به نیرو هوایی اسرائیل اعلام خواهد کرد. چون کشته شدن خامنه‌ای ثابت کرد که چقدر عمق نفوذ اطلاعاتی اسرائیل و آمریکا زیادن که محل جلسه خامنه‌ای مخفیگاهش با فرمانده‌های ارشد رو پیدا کردن و حذفش کردن و این ثابت هم کرد که در جنگ 12 روز موقع خامنه‌ای کشته نشد و بقیه مراکز نظام هدف قرار گرفت، فقط اراده ترامپ بود که مانع کشتن خامنه‌ای شد و اونجا اگر ترامپ اجازه میداد اسرائیل حتما میکشت. چون همین الان که اراده کردن در ثانیه اول جنگ کشتنش. دقت کنید، در ثانیه اول جنگ. یعنی این جنگ اخیر با کشتن خامنه‌ای شروع شد اصولا. بیت رهبری که بمباران شد دفتر خامنه‌ای و اینقدر نفوذ داشته اسرائیل در ساختار رهبری فرمانده جمهوری اسلامی که جنگ رو با کشتن خامنه‌ای شروع کرد، جنگ رو با کشتن شمخانی شروع کرد، جنگ رو با کشتن پاکپور فرمانده کل سپاه شروع کرد و افرادی هم که توی فهرست کشته شدن افراد مهمی هستند. حالا چون خامنه‌ای خیلی دیگه اسمش به عنوان رهبر مطرح شده، بقیه رو خیلی کسی دقت نمیکنه. شمخانی بالاخره دبیر شورای عالی امنیت ملی بوده، قبلا مشاور خامنه‌ای، یکی از فرماندهان اصلی سپاه، یا محمد پاکپور فرمانده کل سپاه. اینی که اسرائیل در 2 جنگ متوالی درست در دقیقه اول جنگ 2 تا فرمانده سپاه رو میکشه، نشون میده که خیلی برتری اطلاعاتی داره. یا مثلا رضا مظفری نیا که کشته شده، فرمانده سابق سپند، این کسی بود که برای خامنه‌ای قرار بود بمب اتمی بسازه و حسین جبل عاملی که جانشین مظفری نیا شده به عنوان رئیس سپند، اون کسی بود که داشت بمب اتمی میساخت. اسرائیل کسی رو که مسئول ساخت بمب اتمی بوده کشته، مسئول قبلی ساخت بمب اتمی هم کشته. منتها چون خبر خامنه‌ای اینقدر مهمه به این کمتر توجه میشه. محمد شیرازی رئیس دفتر نظامی خامنه‌ای رو هم کشته، رئیس اطلاعات قرارگاه خاتم رو هم کشته و اینا اسامی مهمیان و به نظرم جمهوری اسلامی ضربه بسیار بسیار سنگینی به صورتش خورده و داره تلو تلو میخوره و هر لحظه ممکنه در اثر ادامه حملات آمریکا و اسرائیل و قیام مردم ایران سرنگون بشه. من اصلا خیلی اعتقادی به این ندارم که جمهوری اسلامی الان میتونه رهبر جدیدی تعیین بکنه، این رهبر جدید بیاد سیستم رو اداره بکنه، بعد بخوان نمیدونم اصلاح طلب بیاد، روحانی بیاد، احمدی‌نژاد بیاد. نه، اصلا معادله اونجوری نیست. الان ابتکار عمل در اختیار آمریکا، اسرائیل، مردم ایران و شاهزاده است و مدام دارن مشت میزنن تو صورت جمهوری اسلامی و جمهوری اسلامی داره تلو تلو میخوره و حتی اگر کسی انتخاب بکنن به جای خامنه ای ممکنه طول دوره رهبریش زیر 1 ماه باشه، زیر 1 هفته باشه. چون ما اینو در جنگ قبلی در مورد غلامعلی رشید فرمانده قرارگاه خاتم الانبیا دیدیم. موقعی که رشید در 20 ثانیه اول جنگ کشته شد، اومدن علی شادمانی رو به عنوان فرمانده جدید قرارگاه خاتم انتخاب کردن. کل دوره فرماندهیش نیم هفته بود، نیم هفته، 4 روز. بنابراین اگه بخوان بیان یک کسی رو به جانشین خامنه ای انتخاب کنن، اسرائیل اونم میتونه بزنه. و چیکار کردن که من این رو میگم؟ از تجربه کشتن حسن نصرالله استفاده کردن دیگه. حسن نصرالله تو مخفیگاه بود، رهبر حزب الله، کشتنش مثل خامنه ای. بعد اومدن به جاش هاشم صفی‌الدین رو گذاشتن. هاشم صفی‌الدین هم ظرف 3-4 روز بعد کشته شد. بنابراین هر کی هم انتخاب بکنن به احتمال زیاد بلافاصله مورد هدف آمریکا و اسرائیل قرار خواهد گرفت.
خیلی متشکرم مراد بیسی همکارم که از استودیو ایران اینترنشنال در واشنگتن از سمت دیگر این استودیو همراه ما بودید. تصاویری از شادی مردم در شهرهای مختلف بعد از انتشار خبر مرگ علی خامنه‌ای به ایران اینترنشنال رسیده. ببینیم بخشی از این تصاویر رو با هم.
خوشحالی مردم شیراز از شنیدن خبر کشته شدن خامنه‌ای. ما یازالپی خوشحالی ها از جاوید ناممون داریم. خدا روحتون در آرامش. اینجا شیرازه، ساعت 11 شب. همیشه میگه نور در تاریکی پیروزه. یاد تمام جاویدنام‌ها گرامی.
خامنه‌ای کشته شد.
سقط شدن خامنه‌ای
کشته شد.
9 اسفند گوهردشت کرج. مردم از خوشحالی دارن منور شادی میزنن.
بحث اعلام خبر کشته شدن موشعلی و شادی مردم.
وای اصلا خوشحالتری آدم زمینم. اینجا دارن شیرینی پخش میکنن.
خب اجازه بدید همونطور که پیشتر گفتم شورای امنیت سازمان ملل هم امروز جلسه ای رو برگزار کرده در رابطه با حملات آمریکا و اسرائیل به جمهوری اسلامی از صبح روز شنبه. بخشی از اون رو اگر که ترجمه آماده هست میتونیم بشنویم و بعد مجددا برگردیم.
حسن همجواری. آقای رئیس جلسه، 3 کشور آفریقایی خواستار خویشتن‌داری هستند، کاهش فوری تنش‌ها و دیالوگ. همه طرف‌ها باید که مطابق قانون بین‌الملل اقدام کنند و مطابق منشور ملل متحد تا از صلح جهانی و امنیت محافظت بشه. موضع ما تاکید بر این است که اهمیت دیالوگ بدون جایگزین هست در حل مناقشات در چارچوب قانون بین‌الملل و همه طرف‌ها باید از خودشون خویشتن‌داری نشون بدن و مسئولیت پایبند باشن به قانون بین‌الملل و از هر گونه اقدامی که تنش‌ها رو بیشتر کنه یا صلح منطقه رو تهدید کنه پرهیز کنن. 3 کشور آفریقایی یادآوری می‌کنند که این خصومت‌ها جان بسیاری از شهروندان رو به خطر میندازه و بحران‌های جاری رو میتونه.
در پی کشته شدن علی خامنه‌ای دیکتاتور ایران، شاهزاده رضا پهلوی در پیامی در شبکه ایکس نوشته که با مرگ علی خامنه‌ای ضحاک خونخوار زمان و قاتل ده‌ها هزار نفر از شجاع‌ترین فرزندان ایران، جمهوری اسلامی هم در عمل به پایان خودش رسیده و به زودی به زباله‌دان تاریخ خواهد پیوست. تأکید کرده شاهزاده رضا پهلوی که مرگ علی خمینی اگرچه داد خون‌های ریخته شده رو بر نمیگردونه اما میتونه مرهمی باشه بر دل‌های سوخته. با همکارم علی حسین قاضی‌زاده همراه میشیم از استودیوی ما در لندن. این سوال از یک مهمان دیگه هم پرسیدم علی حسین، حالا که اشاره کردم به پیام شاهزاده رضا پهلوی میخوام از تو بپرسم، وقتی به مادران جانباختگان و دادخواهان نگاه میکنیم واقعا ترجیح بر این نبود که او زنده بازداشت میشد و پای میز محاکمه آورده میشد؟
البته همچنان امکان محاکمه نمادین این فرد وجود داره در بسیاری از کشورهای جهان. بعد از اینکه حتی یک فردی با این چنین شرایطی کشته میشه، محاکمه‌اش رو میتونن برگزار کنن برای اینکه همدستان عوامل و عواملی که نقش داشتن در اون جنایت‌ها شناخته بشن و محکومیت نمادینی هم انجام بشه. اساساً سرنوشت علی خامنه‌ای به دادگاه نمیرسید، حتی اگر اینجا کشته نمیشد و ساختار جمهوری اسلامی فرو می‌ریخت. او نهایتاً سرنوشتی شبیه قذافی داشت، هرگز به سرنوشت صدام نمیرسید. موج خشم عظیمی که در جامعه وجود داشت اجازه نمیداد که علی خامنه‌ای به دادگاه برسه و کارش رو تمام میکردن مردم. و خب به هر حال این شیوه مرگ که یک مرگ ذلیلانه بود برای کسی که باید الان لباس رزم می‌پوشید و در صف نخست رزم قرار می‌گرفت، این چنین به زیر زمین رفت. حتی برای مردم ایران خوشحال کننده تر از اونم هست که بخوان دست خودشون رو حتی آلوده بکنن به برگ این آدم. من فکر می‌کنم در نهایت یکی از همون احتمالاتی که بیشتر میشد حدسد رخ داد و الان من فکر می‌کنم مادران دادخواه خوشحال ترین های امشب هستن.
به پایان رسیدن خامنه‌ای به طور مشخص در کوتاه مدت و در همین جنگ علی حسین چه نتایج و تبعاتی داره؟
الان سران حکومت خیلی هاشون یا کشته شدن یا مخفی هستند. این کسانی که الان از فرماندهان نظامی کشته میشن یا کسانی که حتی ممکنه فردا یا پس فردا کشته بشن قابل جایگزینی نیستند. فردی که با اینها رو منتسب کنه الان کشته شده. بسیاری از تصمیمات برای نهایی کردن ارتباط گیری با نهادها در رأس حکومت انجام می‌شده. باید خیلی سریع یک فردی جایگزین بشه، مکانیزم انتخاب اون فرد با یک مکانیزم انتخاب درست باشه تا نهاد با اطمینان حاصل بشه که نهادها با او همکاری میکنند. یکی از مشکلاتی که الان حالا سپاه پاسداران هر کسی که باقی مونده داره اینه که اگر شما فردی رو میخوای معرفی بکنی برای جایگزینی علی خامنه‌ای، به احتمال زیاد اون فرد نخواهد پذیرفت، چون کاملا براش قابل حدس است که تا ساعات آینده او هم کشته خواهد شد. و مطمئنم افرادی هستند که الان سالها دنبال این بودند که جای علی خامنه‌ای بنشینن، وقتی به سراغ اونها برن به عنوان پیش شرط اعلام خواهند کرد که شما این رو باید منعکس بکنین از کانال‌های دیپلماتیک به آمریکا و اسرائیل تا رضایت اونها رو بگیرید که به هر حال ما شبیه آن چیزی که در ونزوئلا رخ داد در ایران رخ بده. یعنی تا تضمین نگیرن برای جانشون به این راحتی‌ها این مسائل رو قبول نخواهند کرد. در سمت دیگر هم شما جامعه ایران رو نگاه بکنید که همین الان به خیابون اومدن دارن شادی میکنن. فردا صبح مردم ایران حیرت زده دیگه بعد از 36 سال دیکتاتوری فرد به خیابون خواهد و کسی محل کار احتمالا نخواهد رفت.
Du hast dein Leben im Griff. Job, Alltag, alles im Flow. Aber denkst du auch an dein Zukunftssicht, an später?
Of thousands of people. These previous facts point to a delicate situation in the country and the region, and they represent a clear and worrying warning of the possible real and human consequences of the escalation of the armed conflict. The Republic of Panama notes with grave concern the severity of recent events, which could trigger a regional conflict with serious direct repercussions on neighboring countries, such as those that have just been suffered by Bahrain, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Kuwait, Jordan, and Saudi Arabia, which Panama considers to be lamentable. This scenario must be avoided, especially in a context in which the Middle East has already been seriously affected by various crises in recent years, the consequences of which may transcend and cause harm beyond the immediate region and may affect the rest of the world with incalculable consequences. The intensification of tensions will only increase instability and suffering, particularly impacting the most vulnerable populations, those that are always the first to suffer the consequences of conflicts. In this uncertain and dangerous situation that we face, we are reminded that it is essential to guarantee the respect for and protection of the civilian population during conflict in accordance with international humanitarian law and the values that this Council is called upon to protect. Therefore, we reiterate our urgent call for dialogue, restraint, and the cessation of the use of force. Diplomacy and negotiation, in accordance with the principles enshrined in the Charter of the United Nations and international law, must prevail as the preferred and effective means for the peaceful settlement of disputes. Thank you very much.
Representative of Panama for the statement, and I give the floor to the representative of Latvia.
Thank you, Mr. President. Allow me to begin by thanking the United Kingdom as presidency of this council for convening this meeting on such short notice. And I would also like to thank the Secretary General for the briefing provided. For decades, Iran has been a malign, destabilizing actor in the region and beyond. It has repeatedly and systematically violated its international obligations and posed a threat to international peace and security. The Iranian regime has attacked and destabilized neighbors, exported terrorism, developed an illegal ballistic missile program, and participated in widespread sanctions circumvention. Iran has violated UN Security Council resolutions 1696, 1737, 1747, 1803, 1835, 1929, and this aggressive behavior is consistent. It spans decades. While international law must be respected at all times, the Iranian regime has continuously ignored its responsibilities and binding commitments under the JCPOA and the NPT. The regime has openly maintained its illegal nuclear program, despite repeated and genuine diplomatic engagement from the European Union, the UK, and the US. The IAEA Board of Governors has confirmed over the last 8 months that Iran is failing to engage and to grant monitors access to installations, and this is unacceptable. Iran must cease its illegal nuclear program, comply with its international obligations, and return to the negotiating table. For decades, Iran has maintained terror as its modus operandi. Iran has supported, armed, financed, and trained terrorist groups such as Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis. It has enabled and emboldened attacks against countries near and afar. It has caused the death of thousands of civilians. It has promoted radicalization and the spread of terrorism, and undermined global energy and maritime security. Beyond the Middle East, Iran has directly supported Russia's war of aggression in Ukraine. More than 50,000 of the same Iranian Shahed drones, now striking numerous countries in the Middle East, have been transferred by Iran to Russia. Iranian weapons, Iranian technology have contributed to killing thousands of innocent Ukrainians, and like Russia in Ukraine, Iran is now bringing terror to innocent civilians in the Gulf countries. Latvia stands with the brave people of Iran, brave people that have endured so much, decades of brutality and repression. Recently, this council met to address the atrocities perpetrated by the Islamic regime against its own people in the streets of Iran. Latvia and the European Union have already imposed sanctions against the IRGC. The Iranian people must be able to determine their own future, free from violence and repression. Mr. President, Latvia joins the call for an immediate cessation of hostilities and urgent de-escalation. We call on all sides to protect civilians and avoid further escalation. Latvia condemns the unprovoked Iranian strikes against countries in the region, namely our fellow member of the Council, Bahrain, and Jordan, Kuwait, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates. Strikes on these countries constitute a threat to regional and international peace and security, and we stand in solidarity with our partners. I thank you.
I thank the representative of Latvia for the statement. I shall now make a statement in my capacity as the representative of the United Kingdom. I thank the Secretary General for his briefing. Colleagues, this is a fragile moment for the Middle East. The United Kingdom played no role in the strikes against Iran. But we are under no illusion about the nature of the Iranian regime. The Iranian regime has murdered thousands of its own people simply for exercising their fundamental rights and freedoms. Iran has repeatedly ignored calls to find a durable and acceptable solution to the nuclear issue, while continuing to destabilize the region through its support to proxies and partners. We strongly condemn Iranian strikes across the region, including the attacks on a hotel in Dubai, the attack on Kuwait's civilian airport, and attacks on civilian targets in Bahrain. We extend our support and solidarity to all our partners, many of which are not parties to the conflict. Regional stability remains a priority. As my Prime Minister stated, UK forces are active and British planes are in the sky today as part of coordinated regional defensive operations to protect our people and regional partners, as the United Kingdom has done before and in line with international law. Reports of strikes on civilians and civilian infrastructure are deeply alarming. The protection of civilians and full respect for international law is critical. Iran must never be allowed to develop a nuclear weapon. That is why we, alongside our French and German partners, have continually supported efforts to reach a negotiated solution. We have always been clear that only a diplomatic solution can fully and sustainably address these threats. We want to see the swiftest possible resolution that ensures security and stability for the region. Iran must refrain from further strikes and its appalling behavior to allow a path back to diplomacy. We will continue to work with our partners to this end in support of peace and security and the protection of civilian life across the region. I resume my function as President of the Council. I now give the floor to the representative of the Islamic Republic of Iran.
In the name of God, the compassionate and merciful, we appreciate the Secretary General for his briefing.
Du brauchst Platz für 5, aber das Budget reicht kaum für einen Kleinwagen. Dein Auto steht öfter in der Werkstatt als vor der Tür und Neuwagenpreise.
Emergency meeting of the Security Council to address the manifest aggression committed by the United States and Israeli regime. I also thank those council members, in particular China, Pakistan, and the Russian Federation, who have today taken principled position in condemnation this unlawful act. And it is regrettable that some members of this body, in a blatant double standard, disregarded the flagrant act of aggression committed by the US and Israel on Iran and condemn Iran for using its inherent right to self-defense on the UN Charter. Mr. President, this morning the United States regime jointly and in coordination with the Israeli regime initiated an unprovoked and premeditated aggression against the Islamic Republic of Iran for the second time in the recent months, while deliberately attacking civilian populated areas in multiple large cities of Iran where millions of people reside. As a result of this brutal armed attack, hundreds of civilians have been killed and injured. The aggression and atrocious crime of the United States regime and the Israeli regime and the deliberate and persistent targeting of civilian infrastructure are going. In addition to the numerous civilian residential buildings, the aggressors have also targeted a school in the city of Mina, Hormozgan province, killing more than 100 children. The number of innocent civilians continues to rise. This is not only an act of aggression, it is a war crime and a crime against humanity. Yet today, once again, the representative of the United States, through a regrettable pattern, has attempted to distort facts and rely on misinformation to justify the blatant aggression of the United States and Israel against my country. The facts, however, are unequivocal. The justification advanced by the representative of the United States today are illegal and entirely devoid of legal foundation. The baseless allegation invoked to defend this unlawful use of force have no standing under international law. The invocation of preemptive attack claims of imminent threats or other substantiated political claims cannot legitimize aggression. Such claims are unfounded legally, morally, and politically, and they contradicted the clear principles of the Charter of the United Nations. I also categorically reject the assertion made by the representative of France, the United Kingdom, and certain other Western members regarding Iran's peaceful nuclear program. These claims lack a factual and legal basis. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the President of the United States and the Prime Minister of the Israeli regime have openly claimed responsibility for this act of aggression and have explicitly articulated regime change as their objective. an unmistakable admission of their intent to violate Iran's sovereignty and territorial integrity. The President of the United States has falsely described this aggression as necessary to neutralize an imminent threat to the American people. This is nothing more than a deliberate attempt to mislead the international community and the U.S. public opinion and manufacture consent for unlawful war. Similarly, the representative of the United States has cynically sought to mislead this council, yet history provides ample documentation that the foreign policy of the United States.
Whoa. What's that?
I just built a budgeting app in Base 44.
Guys,
کشته شده که این شورا رو درست کرده بودن که جنگ رو اداره کنه، ولی خودش در ثانیه اول جنگ کشته شده. فرمانده کل قوا در ثانیه اول جنگ کشته شده. فرمانده کل سپاه در ثانیه اول جنگ کشته شده. معنیش این میشه که اسرائیل و آمریکا برتری تکنولوژیک، اطلاعاتی و عملیاتی دارن و کاملا سوارن بر موضوع و جمهوری اسلامی با این حملات موشکیش به نظرم داره دست و پا میزنه. و چیز دیگه‌ای که میتونم اضافه کنم اینی که الان هر کسی به عنوان رهبر جدید انتخاب بشه و فرمانده سپاه بلافاصله به هدف بعدی تبدیل خواهد شد. تجربه جنگ 12 روزم نشون داد موقعی که غلامعلی رشید رو کشتن و علی شادمانی به جاش انتخاب شد، طول دوره فرماندهیش در قرارگاه خاتم نصف هفته بود، 4 روز. بنابراین هر کی رهبر بشه ممکنه مثل اون بلایی که سر جانشین نصرالله اومد صفی‌الدین ظرف 4 روز کشته شد کشته بشه. هر کی هم فرمانده سپاه بشه میتونه همون بلای شادمانی سرش بیاد، اونم ظرف چند روز کشته بشه. جمهوری اسلامی دقیقاً مثل بوکسوری میمونه که یه مشت محکم خورده وسط رینگ داره تلو تلو میخوره، یه مشت دیگه بهش بخوره احتمال زیاد میفته رو زمین.
مراد، به نظرت بازی تمامه یا هنوز نظام شانسی برای بقا داره؟
شانس بسیار بسیار کمی داره و ابتکار عمل در اختیار آمریکا، اسرائیل، ملت ایران و شاهزاده است. همین الان ما دقایقی پیش ویدیوهای از سراسر کشور داریم که مردم با حالت شادی اومدن خیابون. نمیخوام از واقعیت فاصله بگیرم. نظام هنوز شانس بسیار بسیار کمی داره، ولی احتمال بسیار بسیار بزرگتر سرنگونی نظام در اثر دو چیز: ادامه حملات آمریکا و اسرائیل که تازه این روز اولش بوده و قیام مردم ایران که در پیشه. و یک چیزی هم راجع به شدت و کیفیت جنگ بگم که متفاوت از جنگ قبلیه. در جنگ قبلی در 12 روز اسرائیل 1480 تا هدف بمباران کرد که میشه روزی متوسط 123 هدف. امروز فقط در روز اول جنگ اسرائیلیا 500 هدف رو بمباران کردن. نشون میده شدت جنگ به لحاظ کمی دست کم 4 برابر جنگ قبلیه و به لحاظ کیفی هم خب همون هدف اصلی رو درست ثانیه اول جنگ زدن و معلوم بود که از سر شروع میکنن که بتونن سریعتر کار جمع کنن. راهبردی هم که اسرائیل و آمریکا دارن افزایش شدت جنگه، به خاطری که مدت جنگ رو کم کنن. جنگ کوتاه مدت از طریق جنگ بسیار شدید.
الان میدونیم که فرماندهان سپاه، بقایای فرماندهان سپاه به شدت در تلاشن که جایگزینی برای خامنه‌ای پیدا بکنند. میدونیم که بالاخره جمهوری اسلامی شرایطش با گروهی مثل حزب الله فرق میکنه. یک حکومت دست کم تا این لحظه مستقر هست، بالاخره وزارتخانه داره، کشور رو باید بچرخونه. چقدر اصلا چنین چیزی ممکنه که یک رهبری بخوان انتخاب بکنن که احتمالاً مثل جایگزین‌های حسن نصرالله بخواد در زیرزمین‌ها زندگی کنه؟
به نظرم مثل سال 68 که رهبر غیرقانونی انتخاب شد، الان هم اگر این کارو بخوام بکنن غیرقانونی انتخاب خواهد شد. در سال 68 رهبر باید مرجع تقلید می بود، ولی خامنه‌ای مرجع تقلید نبود و غیرقانونی انتخاب شد. الان هم باید مجلس خبرگان انتخاب کنه، ولی به احتمال زیاد مجلس خبرگان نمیتونه تشکیل بشه زیر این بمباران‌ها. به یک شکل غیرقانونی یک کسی رو معرفی خواهند کرد، ولی همطور که عرض کردم به محض اینی که اعلام بشه احتمال خیلی زیاد نماینده موساد در اون جلسه یا در اطراف جلسه خبردار میشه و اسم و محل رهبر جدید رو به نیروی هوایی اسرائیل به احتمال زیاد اعلام میکنه و برتری اطلاعاتی اسرائیل و آمریکا طوریه که بلافاصله خبردار میشن و ترامپ گفته ما برتری تکنولوژیکمون طوریه که دقیقاً میدونیم که اینا کجان و میتونیم ردیابی کنیم و به نظرم اگر کسی انتخاب بشه احتمال بسیار زیادی وجود داره که رهبر بعدی و فرمانده بعدی سپاه هم خیلی زود هدف قرار بگیرن و این چیزی که الان ایجاد کرده فضا کشته شدن خامنه‌ای روحیه طرفداران نظام و مقامات نظام و بدنه نظام رو به شدت تضعیف کرده، متقابلا روحیه مردم رو خیلی تقویت کرده. معمولا در سرنگونی این نوع حکومت‌ها غیر از اون اتفاقی که در عرصه واقعیت میفته، در نهایت اون چیزی که باعث سرنگونی حکومت میشه یه حسه. این حس در ذهن طرفداران نظام که داریم سرنگون میشیم و این حس در ذهن مخالفین نظام و مردم که داریم پیروز میشیم. این یه فضای روانی ایجاد میکنه. این فضای روانی باعث میشه طرفدارای حکومت سست بشن، رها کنن کار رو و مخالفین که دارن فکر میکنن پیروز میشن، مردم باورشونه، اونا روحیه‌شون تقویت میشه که کار ادامه بدن. من فکر میکنم جمهوری اسلامی داره به این حس نزدیک میشه که مقامات نظام و بدنه نظام حس کنن کار داره از دست میره، داره شیرازه امور میپاشه و مردم دارن این حس رو بهشون غلبه میکنه که داریم پیروز میشیم، ولی هنوز یه چند تا گام باقی مونده.
و طبیعتا اینها بسیار لحظات حساس و ظریفی است، به خصوص در اون دقایق خلأ قدرت هر اتفاقی میتونه بیفته. چه سناریوهای محتمل هست اگر حکومت بخواد ساقط بشه؟ آیا اونطوری که خیلی هم امیدوارن به خصوص براندازان فکر میکنی شاهزاده رضا پهلوی خواهد رفت، رهبری گذار رو به عهده خواهد گرفت؟ آیا احتمال داره استحاله‌ای در دقیقه 90 صورت بگیره، کودتای شکل بگیره؟ چه احتمالاتی رو میشه در نظر داشت؟
طبیعتا شرایط حساسیه، ولی شاهزاده و تیمش یک برنامه اجرایی دقیقی رو فراهم کردن که بلافاصله بعد از این که اون لحظه سقوط رسید دچار خلأ نشیم. شاهزاده بلافاصله اون لحظه که فرا برسه سقوط جمهوری اسلامی و انحلال قانون اساسی اون رو اعلام خواهد کرد. به عنوان رهبر دوره گذار یک نهادی رو به عنوان دولت موقت معرفی خواهد کرد، یک دیوان گذار رو به عنوان نهاد قضایی موقت معرفی خواهد کرد و یک نهاد خیزش ملی رو به عنوان نهاد مشورتی قانونی و ذیل همه این سه تا ذیل رهبری شاهزاده. این چیزیه که به طور جدی و با جزئیات در موردش فکر شده. حتی بسیاری از جزئیاتی که الان قابل اعلام نیست شاهزاده و تیمش آماده کردن که بلافاصله اعلام کنن. البته عالم سیاست ممکنه یک تغییراتی هم رخ بده. طبیعیه که جمهوری اسلامی تلاش میکنه که مقاومت بکنه، تلاش میکنه حتی با یه امتیازاتی بمونه، ولی اراده آمریکا و اسرائیل اراده سرنگونیه و اسرائیل بعید میدونم به هیچ مدلی از جمهوری اسلامی رضایت بده. آمریکایی‌ها که الان در موقعیت برترن بعید میدونم با کسی در جمهوری اسلامی وارد مذاکره بشن. ضمن اینی که شرایط ایران با ونزوئلا متفاوته. ما اینجا میلیون ها مردمی داریم که قیام کردن و میلیون ها مردمی داریم که شاهزاده رضا پهلوی رو صدا زدن. آمریکایی‌ها اینو میدونن. امیدوارم که این دوره رو با کمترین نگرانی و استرس طی کنیم. ملت هم انتخاب خودشو کرده و شاهزاده رضا پهلوی رو صدا زده. مطمئن‌ترین راهی که الان در پیش روی همه ما هست اینی که رهبری دوره گذار رو حمایت کنیم که این مسیر بر اساس اون برنامه‌ای که چیدن و یک برنامه اجرایی دارن برای 6 ماه اول بعد از جمهوری اسلامی اونو طی کنیم. بعد همه چیز بر اساس صندوق رای تعیین میشه. یک امیدواری خیلی خیلی خوبی که من دارم اینه که مردم ما یک روحیه خیلی خوبی از خودشون نشون دادن در مورد اتحاد، در موردی که کار تمیز جلو ببرن. ما در تجمعات خارج از کشورم دیدیم مردم ما چقدر متمدن برخورد کردن. من احساسم اینه که ما خیلی خیلی فاصله داریم از عراق و لیبی و اینجور کشورها. ما این ملتی که متمدن داره این کار رو پیش میبره در خیزش ملی به شکل مدنی، به شکل مسالمت آمیز در خارج از کشورم با یک بلوغ و پختگی کار پیش میبره. ما میتونیم اینو ببریم جلو و وجود یه رهبری با مشروعیت و مقبولیت بالا مثل شاهزاده به ما کمک میکنه و اصل حرکت ما هم از اون خیزش میلیونی مردم میاد. من امیدوارم که با کمترین چالش بتونیم اینو ببریم جلو، ولی هممون باید مواظب باشیم. مهمترین کاری هم که الان باید بکنیم اینه که توجه بکنیم به این رهبری مقبول و مشروع که گام‌های بعدی رو اعلام میکنه، همزمان با اون بریم جلو. من بهترین روشی که به مردم و ملت میتونم به عنوان یک تحلیلگر و کارشناسی که اندکی پیش مردم نظراتم مورد توجه عرض کنم اینه که بهترین کار اینه که توجه کنیم گام‌های بعدی رو شاهزاده رضا پهلوی چی میگه، بر اساس همون بریم جلو.
ممنونم از شما. مراد ویسی از استودیوی دیگر ما در واشنگتن. تصویرهایی که به دست ایران اینترنشنال رسیده نشون میده ساکنان تهران بعد از انتشار خبر کشته شدن علی خامنه‌ای در خیابان‌ها به رقص و پایکوبی پرداختند. خب تصاویر بیشتری هم داریم که در ادامه بهتون نشون میدم، اما فعلا دنیدن نماینده دائم اسرائیل در شورای امنیت داره صحبت میکنه، با هم بشنویم.
کنه این تهدید موجودیتی رو قبل از اینکه غیر قابل بازگشت بشه. ما تأسیسات هسته‌ای رو هدف گرفتیم، سایت‌های موشک‌های بالستیک رو، دستگاه و ماشین سرکوب رژیم که تروریسم در سراسر منطقه گسترده میکنه. این اقدام متجاوزانه نبوده، این اقدامی بوده از سوی و به واسطه ضرورت، برای اینکه رژیم ایران هیچ گزینه منطقه دیگری برای ما بر جای نگذاشته. این حمله مشترک ادامه خواهد داشت تا زمانی که این تهدید برقرار باشه. ما سپاسگزاریم از پرزیدنت ترامپ، سپاسگزاریم از همکاری نزدیک آمریکا با اسرائیل که ائتلاف بین دو کشور ما رو به بهترین سطح خودش در تاریخ رسونده در این جنگ. بیایید خیلی روشن بگیم که چی در برابر ما ایستاده. این رژیم سلاح‌های هسته‌ای خواسته بسازه در تناقض آشکار با قوانین بین‌الملل. شهروندان خودش رو بیرحمانه به قتل رسونده و نارضایتی رو سرکوب کرده. همین الان که ما داریم صحبت میکنیم داره در شهرهای ایران این اتفاق میفته. زرادخانه موشکی خودش رو و نیروهای نیابتیش رو در سراسر منطقه گسترش داده و خیلی روشن قصد خودش رو بیان کرده برای اینکه اسرائیل رو از روی نقشه محو کنه. حالا که با پیامدهای اقداماش روبرو شده، موشک و پهپاد میفرسته به سراسر منطقه امارات متحده رو به خطر میندازه. امروز یک شهروند پاکستانی متاسفانه اونجا کشته شده. اردن، کویت، بحرین، قطر، عراق. همین حالا که داریم صحبت میکنیم در همین یک ساعت اخیر یه راکت به شهر تل‌آویو خورده. پایگاه نظامی رو نمیزنن، غیر نظامی ها رو میزنن. یک ساختمون غیر نظامی رو در تل‌آویو زدن. یک زن بیگناه کشته شده، 21 نفر زخمی شدن. این رژیمی است که هر جا دستشو میگذاره بی‌ثبات میکنه. خشونت رو در سراسر جهان، در سراسر منطقه گسترش میده و در داخل کشور خودش مخالفان خودش رو سرکوب میکنه. این یک دستگاه و ماشین رادیکالیسم و تندروی است که مرزی برای خودش نمیشناسه. آقای رئیس جلسه، دیپلماسی رو آزمودیم. از ایران خواسته شد که غنیسازی اورانیوم رو متوقف کنه، پروژه آب سنگین رو متوقف کنه، قابلیت موشک‌های تولید موشک‌های با قابلیت هسته‌ای رو متوقف کنه. هیچ کدوم این کارا رو نکرد. عوضش تأسیسات هسته‌ایشو مستحکم‌تر کرد تا نتونیم بزنیمشون. تولید موشک‌ها رو تسریع کرد و ادامه داد به تأمین مالی تروریسم. از زمان عملیات قبلی در تابستان گذشته میلیاردها دلار روی نیابتی‌هاشون هزینه کردن. قطعنامه‌ها خیلی روشن بودن. استراتژی اونم خیلی روشن بود. تأخیر و وقت کشی. اما ما رو نمیتونن به بازی بگیرن. معلوم بود که دارن چی کار میکنن. داشتن ابزار لازم رو فراهم میکردن برای اینکه ما رو یک کنجی گیر بندازن، برای اینکه ما رو یک واقعیت غیر قابل بازگشت رو به ما تحمیل کنن در حالی که پشت ما به دیوار باشه. این آینده ای نیست که اسرائیل بپذیره. هیچ کشور مسئولی نباید چنین آینده ای رو بپذیره. این عملیات یک هدف خیلی روشن داره.
خب بخشی از صحبت‌های دنی دنن رو میشنیدید، نماینده اسرائیل در سازمان ملل متحد که در این جلسه ویژه شورای امنیت که به بررسی حمله کشورش اسرائیل و ایالات متحده به ایران میپردازه. تصاویر دیگری اجازه بدید ببینیم باز از شادی مردم در خیابان‌های مختلف ایران بعد از شنیدن خبر کشته شدن علی خامنه‌ای.
Wie schnell ich meine Umsatzsteuervoranmeldung mache. Und fertig. Ich bin hier gerade für ein Backup-Projekt auf Island und habe...
Where were the consequences? Now, Israel acts to prevent an irreversible threat, and the condemnation is immediate. This is the definition of hypocrisy. Some call this aggression. We call it necessity. We call it survival. Mr. President, history has taught us never to ignore those who openly call for our destruction. When a regime says it will destroy Israel, when it chants death to Israel, when it promises to wipe Haifa and Tel Aviv off the map, we believe it. We genuinely believe it. When we see those hundreds of ballistic missiles that they are launching to Israel, we believe the threats. We do not ignore them. We do not gamble with our survival. We act. Now let me address the brave people of Iran. You are not our enemies. This operation is not directed at you. It is directed at a regime that has silenced you, imprisoned you, and invested in missiles and uranium while your economy suffers. You deserve better. It is this regime, the Basij, the Revolutionary Guard, who have dragged your country into isolation. The world does not fear a free Iran. It fears a radical regime armed with nuclear weapons and driven by extremism. Your future should not be defined by those who chant for death. As President Trump had said, the Iranian people deserve dignity, security, and the chance to shape their own destiny. We are thinking about you. You are seen. You are not alone. The future of Iran belongs to its people. We stand with you. Mr. President, this week, Jewish families all around the world celebrate Purim. Many Israelis will do so now in a bomb shelter. The story of Purim happened more than 2,500 years ago, in the same place. In ancient Persia, an evil minister by the name of Haman sought to wipe out the Jewish people. And it began with words, with chants. It became a decree. It could have become a genocide. But Queen Esther refused to remain silent. She stepped forward, she spoke up, she acted before it was too late. That is the lesson we learned. It is not only an ancient lesson, it is a modern one. Last week, I stood at the gates of Auschwitz with dozens of UN ambassadors. We stood in a place that shows what happens when radicalism and extremism grows and no one stops it in time. Before the Holocaust, some leaders, serious leaders, believed that they could calm aggression with concessions. They were completely wrong. Giving in did not stop evil. It strengthened it. Winston Churchill understood what Queen Esther understood long before him. When destruction is declared and weapons are being prepared and assembled, leaders must act. Not later, now. Today, President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu understand that same lesson. For decades, the Iranian regime has built missiles, enriched uranium, armed proxies, and spread terror far beyond its borders. This regime is not only Israel's enemy. It is an enemy of stability, an enemy of every peace-loving nation. In this joint operation, Israel and the US are acting together, not because we see conflict, because we refuse to ignore declared destruction. We are stopping extremism before it becomes unstoppable. We will ensure that no radical regime armed with nuclear weapons and ballistic missiles can threaten our people or the entire world. Thank you, Mr. President.
I thank the representative of Israel for the statement. I will now give the floor to His Excellency, Mr. Majid A. Abdulaziz, Permanent Observer of the League of Arab States to the United Nations.
Shukran. Thank you, Mr. President. I thank the Presidency for convening this emergency session today. I also extend my thanks to the Secretary General for his powerful and comprehensive briefing. The Security Council convenes today at a pivotal moment in the history of the United Nations, a moment that unfortunately represents a glaring failure of the multilateral international system, a failure the League of Arab States has long warned against. Regrettably, it is a moment in which the Arab-Israeli conflict has expanded into a full-scale regional war, through which Israel seeks, through this escalation, to evade ending its occupation of Palestinian territories, to prevent the establishment of an independent Palestinian state, and to obstruct Palestine's admission to the UN in implementation of the two-state solution and the core principles of international legitimacy. Israel has done so by expanding the scope of its brutal military aggression against the Palestinian people in Gaza and the West Bank, by intensifying its efforts to annex the West Bank, and through repeated military attacks on Syria, Lebanon, Yemen, and Iran, all in a misguided attempt that is categorically rejected both regionally and internationally to impose Israel's hegemony on the Middle East by using military means. Even if it is at the expense of the member states of the League of Arab States and at the expense of the suffering of their peoples under Israeli policies and attacks aimed at imposing the law of force instead of the force of law. At the Council's previous meeting on this item last week, the Foreign Minister of Israel, the occupying power, made extremist religious assertions, thus offering clear evidence of the arrogance of Israel, which seeks to impose its own extremist religious interpretation on the word, claiming that all Palestinian land, including the West Bank, which cannot be annexed under President Trump's plan, and under Security Council's Resolution 2803, all this Palestinian land has belonged to Israel for thousands of years. Such claims reflect an unmistakable contempt for the legal, historical, and foundational principles upon which international legitimacy have been built in this Council and in this organization. Despite the announcement 2 days ago in Geneva that negotiations between the United States and Iran on the Iranian nuclear file has made some progress, Israel has blatantly disregarded all these developments in pursuit of narrow, self-serving interests. It has launched a wanton military attack at dawn today against the Islamic Republic of Iran, claiming that the attack was intended to prevent Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons. At the same time, Israel itself refuses to join the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. It refuses to subject its nuclear facilities to the IAEA's comprehensive safeguards regime, and it refuses at the same time to attend the United Nations Conference on the establishment of a Middle East zone free of nuclear weapons and other WMDs. That conference, held for the 7th consecutive year at the United Nations last November, with the active participation of the Islamic Republic of Iran in all its sessions, and with the continued boycott of Israel and one permanent member of this council. This Israeli boycott of this important conference is clear, although the conference seeks to achieve the same goal, which is to eliminate the ambiguous nuclear capabilities, both Israeli and Iranian. And this Israeli stand reflects the fact that Israel wants to remain the only state acquiring ambiguous nuclear capabilities in the Middle East and capable of producing nuclear weapons, which is something that Middle East countries cannot accept. Mr. President, despite all the above, the clear escalation among all parties amounts to a cowardly and unjustified military assault by the Islamic Republic of Iran on several Arab states that are members of the League of Arab States. This escalation threatens to widen the scope of the military conflict and risks igniting a full-scale regional war. The General Secretariat of the League of Arab States have issued an official statement from which I quote: "The General Secretariat of the League of Arab States strongly condemns the Iranian attacks on the state of Qatar, the Kingdom of Bahrain, the state of Kuwait."
This is day 1 of my husband doing Tai Chi workouts. This is day 21 of my husband doing Tai Chi workouts.
Make it a habit. 7 minutes of time.
These missile attacks constitute a blatant violation of the sovereignty of states that advocate for peace and have worked to advance stability and did not participate in the war. The General Secretariat expresses full solidarity with these Arab states in confronting these attacks and affirms its support for any measures they take to defend themselves and to protect their populations. The Secretariat stresses that Arab states have taken clear positions regarding the Iranian crisis by rejecting military action against Tehran. Several Arab states exerted tremendous efforts to further mediation and to prevent the escalation we are witnessing today. The General Secretariat is deeply concerned by the grave dangers posed by the current situation in the region. It calls upon all influential parties in the international community to act immediately to de-escalate as quickly as possible to prevent the expansion of regional instability and violence and return immediately to dialogue. End of quote. In conclusion, Mr. President, the League of Arab States joins the Secretary General of the United Nations in urging all states to respect their obligations under international law, including the UN Charter